since the beginning of this season, well, really since the end of last year in the bubble, the narrative has been consistent, at least from our perspective. Toronto Maple Leafs will ultimately be judged on what happens in the postseason. And we are finally in the postseason. I'm ready.
Yeah, it seems like it's taken a long time to get here, but man, this week, here we go. Buckle up. What we've all been waiting for, we've all been talking about. Every move they've made, every trade, every acquisition has all led to trying to be successful in this year's playoffs.
The opponent, the Montreal Canadiens. Team that the Leafs dominated for a good portion of the year.
Yeah.
I want to get something off my chest right off the bat, though. I am not a fan, and I'm seeing a lot of it. I am not a fan of just writing off the Habs and assuming the Leafs are going to march through them in 4 games. We'd all like that. That would be awesome if they could. But the Habs are getting Carey Price back, Shea Weber, Brendan Gallagher, all coming back for game 1. The biggest difference maker in that group is obviously Carey Price.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan. Like maybe it's the Leaf fan in me who's had my heart broken multiple times in my life, but like I'm sorry. Like take nothing for granted. I do not see a scenario where they just go out and walk through the Montreal Canadiens. I'm thinking like they should win. They are the better team, but
yeah.
This baby's going at least 6 games at least.
It's hard to write teams off, especially like the Habs have the ability to play the style that the Leafs struggle against. And like all those guys coming back, me personally, I'm going to throw a little hot take right here. I think Carey Price is washed, and he doesn't scare me too much. It's not, I don't think Carey Price is going to stand on his head, and that's why we lose this series. I think if they lose this series, it's Carey Price plays pretty well, and the Canadiens rally and play the style they need to play to beat the Leafs, collapsing their own net, being physical. The Habs threw the most hits in the Canadian division. The Leafs threw the least amount of hits in the Canadian division. And the Habs, they got some big dudes. They got some guys who can play down low and can play that quote-unquote playoff hockey. And we know the Leafs. Like, we know them. It doesn't matter what iteration of the Leafs. They are the Leafs. Yeah. They're not... Nothing is ever easy for this franchise. When has it ever been easy for this team?
Never. That's why I'm saying don't write them off. Like,
it doesn't matter what year, what roster. Name me a year where the Leafs just like walked through somebody in the playoffs.
Never.
Like even the one year they swept like the Senators in the Sundin era. Like they got outshot like 1,000,000-6, and they somehow swept them.
And
but
Curtis Joseph
stood on his head. And like you're an idiot if you're writing it off. But I will say that, man, you're a Leaf fan. You're someone who follows this Canadian division. There's been no easier path for them to get to a Final Four though.
Oh yeah, no, and that's why. And like we've been saying it all year, this is the year to push your chips in the middle. Kyle Dubas went and did that.
Yeah, I thought he did everything he could.
Yeah, and like you look at like now without the salary cap constraints, you look at the lineup that they're practicing with. That's a solid 4-line hockey team.
Yeah, they got depth. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and like but I'm sorry, like they're the Leafs. There's gonna be moments in this series like wouldn't it just be the most Leaf thing ever to go up 2-0 and then go out in game 3 and just not show up and lose like 5-1 to the Habs? Like,
yeah.
Like I don't see a scenario where they just annihilate the Habs from bell to bell. I don't see that.
I could see them even just dropping game 1 off the bat.
Oh my god!
Which would be just a nightmare.
Yeah, we'll all be sitting here just like, oh no.
So like after it's all said and done, the Leafs win in 6, or the Habs win in 7, or like what is?
It sends a chill down my spine even insinuating they get eliminated. My god.
What is the narrative coming out of this playoff series? Like, based on your prediction of how it's going to go, when it's all said and done, what are we looking at being like, this is why the Leafs won this series?
Well, the Habs are going to stick everyone. Like Brendan Gallagher is going to be in Austin Matthews' face every second he's on the ice. So the Leafs are going to need something they didn't get last year in the bubble, which is depth scoring. Like every team they play, whether it's the Habs, whether it's the second round, third round, I don't care. All the best defensive guys on the opposition will be out there against Matthews and Marner, and they're going to have no space, none. So you need contributions from your second line in particular.
Yeah.
Which I'll be honest, like I'm loving that. I agree with the decision. Like I know you could debate like Foligno and Hyman and where which guy should be, but I think I like having Hyman on the first line. I think he's earned that spot, and theoretically having a guy like Nick Foligno should help open up some room for John Tavares and William Nylander. Should also help John Tavares getting pushed around like he's been pushed around all season.
Oh yeah.
Then you got your third line, which now is going to be centered by Riley Nash, which will be
interesting.
Which will be Keefe's go-to shutdown line. And then you've got, by the way, don't let me forget. Let me come back to the third line. Don't let me forget.
Well, I was about to get into it after you stopped talking.
So, and then you got the fourth line of Spezza, Thornton, Simmons. And that, listen, Jason Spezza has contributed offensively all year. Jumbo, we had discussions about him. He really has played well and dialed up the intensity down the stretch. And I don't care if Wayne Simmons doesn't get a single point in this whole postseason. I don't care. He's there to ensure Brendan Gallagher doesn't start running too out of control, because that's who you're going to answer to.
So is Nick Foligno, too.
Yes.
Like those, yes. I'm so happy they have those two guys in the lineup. And I look at the fourth line. I think Jason Spezza has proved that he could carry a fourth line.
Yes. Like
that line could either, they're going to have some shifts where it's going to not look good.
No.
Those are three older dudes who don't have a lot of speed anymore, who are all there for a specific reason, not so much of their ability or their skill. And that line sometime is gonna go out and they're gonna contribute, I feel like, or they're gonna go out and they're gonna be brutal. And we're gonna be coming on the pod the next day and being like, that these guys sucked last night.
Again, I'm trying not to like get too ahead of myself here, because I literally just sat here and said, like, don't just write off the Habs or any other opponent from this division. But having said that, I don't see that line getting exposed within the confines of the first two rounds. I don't think any team they're going to play is good enough. Once you start getting into the semifinal and like the creme de la creme of the league, Tampa, Vegas, Colorado Avalanche, President's Trophy winner, by far and away the Stanley Cup favorite this year.
Yeah.
That's where a line like that might get exposed. But against the Habs, who aren't very... I don't think they're a very deep team. Like I've spent all week listening to people talk about how deep the Habs are. I don't think they're a very deep team. And you look at either Winnipeg or Edmonton, I don't think there's enough there to expose that fourth line.
I just think the Habs don't have, like, we're talking about how the Leafs need depth scoring. I don't think the Habs have depth scoring. I think they have Tyler Toffoli, who can go out and score, and Josh Anderson can go out and score as well. But look down their lineup, like Kotkaniemi, the guy sucked this year.
Yeah.
Like he's not providing any, unless he steps up. Like, you never know. But I think at the end of the day, if you were to compare depth score, if you cancel out the top players who score for both teams, the Leafs are a better team. They score better. They have better players. It's all for the taking for them. It's just, we're not idiots and sit here and just be like, Leafs at 4. Like,
because
we're not dumb.
You don't, and I'm sorry, numbers people, you don't win a series on paper.
No.
And that is what, like, you look at this lineup that Sheldon Keefe has put together, he knows that. That's why there are character guys up and down this lineup.
Yeah.
You're going to have to grind out a W. Now, I said I wanted to come back to the third line. I am a huge believer that if you chirp somebody and then they turn it around, you have to come on here and you have to own it and eat a bit of crow. So I'm going to serve myself a bowl of crow right now, and everyone is going to watch me eat it here. I have spent a lot of time on this podcast criticizing Alex Kerfoot.
Yeah.
And I've loved his game down the stretch. One, he's got the big beard going and he just looks way more menacing. Love it.
Yeah.
Two, I think Keefe has found a great role for him in like a third line checking role. And I just love his game. I love how hard he skates. I love his compete. I love he's in front of the net, shoving guys in scrums, whatever. Like, he's a guy who, like, he's always going to have the stigma around him of, we traded Nazem Kadri for you.
I don't look at him like that, though.
That's all I saw forever until this most recent stretch. And like I said, I really, really, really think he's played really well down the stretch, and he's fitting in. Like I said, credit to Sheldon Keefe as well, because I think Sheldon Keefe has found a really nice role for him.
Yeah.
But I tip my hat to that guy. I think he's played awesome.
I think that line is not set in stone at all. Like, I look at the top two lines, and Keefe has a way of picking out a winger in the top six to move around. He Matthews and Marner are together. Nylander and Tavares are together. So if Hyman stays up there, goes down to the second line, goes to the third line, I just look at Riley Nash, and it's like, this guy's played. When's the last time this guy played hockey? Well, they're penciling him in right away. Not that I don't think he's capable, obviously. Like, I'm not the biggest Pierre Engvall fan. Like, I'm not stoked to see Engvall center a third line. So obviously, if Nash can pan out, then that's great. But it's like I'm not 100% sold that line is going to be able to stick together or do what they need to do to stay together for that first round or the second round or whatever. I think there can be a little bit of juggling between that line and a couple other lines, because Sheldon Keefe loves moving guys around.
Yeah.
So I look at that opening lineup, and it's like, when I look at the opening lineup, I see Matthews and Marner, and that's it.
Yeah.
Everything else to me is moving pieces, and we're going to see after game 1, game 2, game 3. I'm sure those lines are going to be mumbo-jumboed at some point. So, I mean, but if it does work out, because I think Keefe has a love for Hyman on that third line for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just think he's looking for that serious shutdown line, and I don't know if those three guys who've never played together are going to be able to go in and take on a defensive responsibility.
Well, I mean, that goes to show you how highly they think of Riley Nash and the fit in the role that they want. Like, they want him to be like a third. They think he's a good choice. I'm having a really hard time articulating this thought. They think he's a really good choice to be a third-line shutdown centerman.
Well, they saw him last year in the bubble.
Yes.
That's why.
So
they probably got a whiff of him in the bubble last year and was like, Keefe was like, I saw what that guy could do. I know he could shut down a line.
So, I mean, the lineup that they've been practicing with all week is the best version of the Leafs. Everyone's healthy, which we haven't seen all year.
Yeah.
The other thing that's going to factor into, like you said, when all is said and done, I don't want to talk about this too much because I'm sick and tired of talking about goaltending.
I was about to go there too.
Like, to me, it's like it's so. Why are we still having debates about who's starting game 1? Sheldon Keefe announced.
It's ridiculous.
Sheldon Keefe announced today that Jack Campbell is going to start game 1, and it's like, duh. Like, but who? Why are we still debating this? Like, I don't understand. It's like
people are bored.
Yeah, like,
because they're bored because they have nothing to talk about. Here's my hot take. I'll throw it a serious hot take prediction. I'll put my ass out on the line. Carey Price is not going to shut the Leafs down like everyone thinks he's going to. I hate the phrase of Carey Price is the best goaltender on the planet when he's on. It's like Carey Price has been pretty mediocre for a while now. He's had a couple good stretches. Good for him. He's not coming in here and standing on his head and eliminating the Maple Leafs. And number 2, Jack Campbell is going to be the number 1 goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round. Yeah. I don't care if he lets in 1, 2, 3 bad goals. I've seen enough from this guy to say he's our guy. He's number 1. I don't care about his size. I don't care about Frederik Andersen. Mm-hmm. He is the number 1 goalie, and I think
for you to say you don't care about Frederik Andersen is a big deal.
I know. I like Frederik Andersen, but how can you not look at Jack Campbell's body of work and not be confident in what he can do? This city needs to let go of the fact that goalies are going to let in bad goals.
Yep.
That is hockey. That is it's just going to happen. And if you don't think Jack Campbell is capable of being, I don't care if he doesn't have a resume. All he's done since he's been here is been a legend.
And like I said, make the crucial save.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care if you let in the odd stinker here and there. Like you said, that's going to happen. But when you're down 3-2, don't let the opposition make it 4-2.
And that's what he does.
Yes.
And that's exactly what he does. And he's just been, I can't nitpick one thing from him. I just think he's been phenomenal. And I think at the end of this, when the Leafs win the series.
Oh, there it is. We were going to do predictions at the end, but Ryan is giving spoiler.
It's going to be us looking back being like Jack Campbell played very well for us and made big saves.
We talked about forwards. We talked about goalies. Talk to me about the defense. You'd really like to have Zach Bogosian. you're not going to see him until at least the second round, according to Elliot Friedman, I believe.
And even then, it's like guys come back from injury. They're not going to be what they were before injury when they were getting reps every day and playing every day. It's every day. It's the Leafs defense has been their best improvement this season. Like in terms of letting goals in, high danger chances, they've brought all of that down.
You would give the Leaf defense the SO most improved medal.
100%.
Yeah.
It's been the biggest difference for this hockey team, and it's a thing that not a lot of people have really like harped on. Like, you know, like 'cause it's always been point the finger at the defense, but as soon as they kind of round into shape, it's like, hey, we're not going to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to see what TJ Brody, who I thought coming into the season was going to suck.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I ever said that, but I thought he was going to be a big letdown.
That could be one of your coldest predictions of all time.
Yeah, like I thought he was going to be a scapegoat and we were going to hate him like we hated Jake Gardner.
Because Tyson Barrie.
Yeah, and because you've heard stuff from TJ Brody before, being like, he's not that good. He just played with Giordano. But, man, he was great this season. And Jake Muzzin's Mr. Stability on the top four. Like, you know, like, and then Justin Hull. I'm not his biggest fan, but you know what? He's pretty decent. He's pretty good. And now you got Rasmus Sandin coming in to help out. We're going to see what he's all about. Yeah. So, in a big situation.
Big Ben Hutton, who I think adds some good size to the back end.
And now you're not counting on Marty Marinson to come in if somebody gets hurt.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And I just think the Leafs defense is going to be why they win this series. And Jack Campbell and the Leafs defense. And it's going to be up to Austin Matthews and the depth scoring to chip in. But at the end of the day, the Leafs always had that top end talent to put the puck in the net. They've been missing that D-core. They've been missing good goaltending. So I think just everything on the defensive side of the puck is going to be the difference between the Leafs winning and losing the series.
I just hope. Here's the thing that I hope. I hope that they, in the past, with this particular core group, there's been criticism with respect to like ramping up the intensity for playoff hockey. And like you said a couple weeks ago, it's a thing. Playoff hockey is a thing. The intensity goes up. There's no space to move.
In every sport. It's not even just hockey. Like, it's just like watch a playoff baseball game. Yeah. Like, you know, like it's different. Yeah. Like, it's just everything just ramps up.
Yeah.
The pressures are different. Things can go wrong so quickly. Momentum can turn just like that.
And I just hope that these guys have got to a point. Like, listen, I came out here last week and I said Austin Matthews is the greatest Toronto Maple Leaf of all time, in my opinion. And it's great that he won the Rocket Richard, and he had an unreal season, and he established himself as an elite force in the National Hockey League. Something in the last few years, I said he would dip up and then back down and dip up and then back down. And this year, consistently from bell to bell, he's been the top goal scorer in the league. However, it's nice to win personal awards. It's nice to have a good regular season. It's nice to win your division, but at the end of the day, how many cups?
You want that?
How many cups?
You want that Sidney Crosby, Patrick Kane reputation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Sidney Crosby, 3 cups.
Patrick Kane, 3 cups.
Yeah.
Jonathan Toews before he kind of fell off the face of the earth, 3 cups.
3 cups. Like this. And let me tell you something else. There's a certain guy in Edmonton who's thinking the exact same thing.
100%.
Who dummied the league again this year, and again is thinking like, I'm going to grab the rest of this team and I'm going to drag them to a Stanley Cup. That is what that. Now, I don't think the Oilers. This is a discussion for another time. I don't think the Oilers are good enough.
No,
but he's thinking the exact same thing, and I just hope like. And this is why you bring guys in like Joe Thornton, like Nick Foligno, who are just like, guys, like we have an opportunity here to do something special. And for all intents and purposes, when the puck drops in September of next year, we're going to be back to our old divisions. And like you look at Florida, Tampa, Boston, like Ottawa is going to get better. Like so many, the Habs will get better.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, this is the best chance that you guys are going to have to get to a Final Four.
100%.
And potentially a Stanley Cup final. If they don't get the job done, one, I'll be in I don't want to put this out in the atmosphere, but like I'm gonna crawl in a hole and not be okay if they get eliminated in the first round here. Like I'm gonna be just beside myself. Point being, don't screw this up. Play every shift with intensity. Go stop. Like now is not the time for when you're on the power play. Pass between the legs, behind the back. Pass. Like love Mitch Marner had an unreal season. We don't need any behind the back, between the legs, banging a dirty goal. And that is my only criticism of their top skilled guys this year is they're so hesitant to just crash the net and bang in a rebound, score a dirty goal. And like not everything needs to be a pretty highlight reel play. And that is the type of stuff where it's like you might have to go out there and grind out a 2-1 win. And both of those goals are going to have to be dirty garbage goals in front of the net, but you're going to have to do it.
I think all the additions to their roster, like the focus of adding veterans, is going to keep them in the right mindset in the playoffs. Like, there's no way you have all these guys are former captains of their teams. You know, like you know way you can have a Foligno, Thornton, Simmons, and Spezza, and have a bunch of dudes who are down in the dressing room and don't understand the gravity of the situation. They'll be reminding them for sure. But you mentioned a name in there, in Mitch Marner, that I'm going to have my eye on in this series because I'm not worried about Austin Matthews in the playoffs, to be honest with you. But Mitch Marner, phenomenal hockey player, but
this is the same guy who said last year after game 1 or whatever, where he's like, I wasn't that into it tonight.
Yeah, I gotta see more from him for sure. And this power play, something we haven't even talked about, which to me is the most like underrated weakness going into the playoffs. Like they gotta get that crap together, man. Like it's bad. And you look at the Edmonton Oilers, that's one thing they do have. When it's time to score on the power play, they score on the power play. And you look at the Leafs and it's like, what are you guys doing out here? I don't understand.
Pass.
I don't understand how a bunch of dudes who have a crap load of points and goals and can't figure it out. That's one thing they got to get figured out ASAP in that series as well.
Well, another guy, what are your expectations for, and I'm going to wind you up here with this question. What are your expectations for number 88 in this first round?
I've tempered my expectations for him, so that way anytime he does something good, I'm happy. I'm looking at, I think Tavares is going to drive that line, if anything. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect from that line. All I know are the two best players on the Toronto Maple Leafs are Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. And those are the two guys who are going to have to show up and fight through tough matchups to ultimately win this series. But yeah, those two guys are very important. They also need to contribute. I think they're going to be fine. I just the worst is in the back of my head still, you know. But I think everything's gonna be okay. I think they're gonna contribute. I think they're gonna get their points. I think everything is going to work out. But at the same time, it's just like you go out in game 1 and you suck. It's like, oh,
here we go again. I know.
It's like, man, I honestly like even just sitting here with you doing this episode, like my mind is kind of just playing games with me. I'm kind of all over the place.
Dude,
like
it's the jaded fan. All we know as Maple Leaf fans. All we know since 2004 is heartbreak and failure and disappointment.
Yeah. So it's like I can sit here, I'm listening to you talk and making points, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, you know, it should be easy. They should wrap this up. And then I start talking, and then in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, what if they suck?
Well, this is the same.
What if they don't contribute?
And I know that they've made part of what's contributing to your sort of hesitancy to just be like, yeah, they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
it's like, think last year to the bubble, like they were the better, like on paper they were the better team. Granted, they've made a lot of improvements, but like they should have got eliminated in 4 games last year by the Columbus Blue Jackets, and then they had the miracle comeback in game 4. But like they should have got eliminated in 4 games last year, and so it's like it stays with you. And yes, this regular season has been amazing. It's been so exciting to watch, but This is where you cement your legacy. You have to do something. You have to win a cup,
and it's there.
It's right there. Yeah, it's right there.
I don't think it's cup or bust for this team. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's cup or bust. I think it's Final Four or bust.
Yes.
If this team gets to the Final Four and they lose to
Vegas,
all the teams you mentioned earlier who are top heavy favorite teams. That's fine. Because you know what? At the end of the day, do I think this team can win a Stanley Cup? I don't know.
Yeah.
But they can win their division and get there.
Yes.
Like, that's where we're at right now,
Yes.
for sure. And if they don't, then I don't know if I can ever watch a game again.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
I know.
Like,
I'm gonna be.
I'm gonna be lost. Like,
all right. It's time. Let's do official predictions. Leafs, Habs. I'll go first. I'm going Leafs in 6 games. And they're going to have one game where they just stink the joint out.
yeah.
And that's what'll push it to 6.
I'm going to go Leafs in 6 as well. And I think they're going to lose game 1.
Okay. All right.
I think they're going to lose game 1 and we're all going to freak out.
Yeah.
And then, but they'll come back, they'll figure it out, and they'll win in 6 games.
So just quickly, like let's talk about around the league. I don't want to do predictions for every series, but I just want to touch on some teams. And the first one being, as I mentioned earlier, the Colorado Avalanche, far and away the Stanley Cup favorite in my opinion. Like the Avalanche and Vegas are the 2 teams where it's like those are big boy hockey teams.
Yeah. They're legit.
Yeah.
For sure. But you never know, man. Like, you never know with the playoffs. Like, who knows if one of those teams get upset? I don't know. But I think at this point, if you were to ask me, I think Vegas wins out over Colorado.
Really?
Even though Colorado has everything you need for just to be a Stanley Cup contender and win the cup. I actually am going to put my chips in the Vegas basket, and I think they're going to ultimately make it farther than the Avalanche.
And are you predicting they win the Stanley Cup?
I hate making that prediction.
I think that would be a safe choice.
Yeah, because I don't see, like, I know Florida, Carolina, and Tampa had good years. I don't see any of those teams winning a cup. The thing about that kind of those Metro Division teams with Pittsburgh, Washington, and Boston, like, those are teams that sniff every year, you know? So I can't count any of those teams out. You can't count the Washington Capitals out, or the Bruins,
or Sid,
or even the Islanders could beat Sid in the first round. Like, you don't know. It's so hard to make a prediction. But I will say that I think Vegas is the team that comes out of the West, or technically a West Coast team that makes it. I know they get reseeded, so we don't really know what's going to happen. But I think Vegas is a team that's going to make it pretty far in this whole thing.
Well, there you have it. So that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks, everyone, for downloading. If you like what you see, head to our Instagram page at Talkin' Buds Podcast. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, share, comment, do all that fun stuff. We're ready to go. We'll see you guys after game 1.